on behalf of everyone behind the 50 and 10 Affordable Housing Initiative, and there are a lot of us, I want to warmly welcome you to this groundbreaking
I would like to call to order the May 11, 2026 meeting of the Greenville City Council. I'm Mayor Pro Tem Tanya Foreman and will be presiding over tonight's meeting. Councilmember Hardy will provide the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us here today. We ask for your guidance, wisdom, and unity as we begin this meeting. Help us to listen with open minds, speak with honesty, and work together with purpose and respect. We also take a moment to celebrate the accomplishments of those graduating from East Carolina University. We thank you for their hard work, perseverance, and the support of their families, friends, professors, and mentors who helped them reach this milestone. As they begin their new chapters in life, grant them confidence, integrity, and the courage to lead and serve others well. Bless this meeting and everybody here present today. May our decisions reflect wisdom, compassion, and a commitment to making a positive difference in our community. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Mayor Connolly has let us know he will not be attending this evening. Mayor Pro Tem Foreman.
Here.
Councilmember Jones.
Here.
Councilmember Hardy.
Here.
Councilmember Scully.
Here.
Councilmember Robinson.
Here.
Councilmember Willis.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem, you have a quorum.
Thank you. We will move on to the approval of the agenda. Mr. Manager, are there any recommended changes?
I have no changes, Mayor Pro Tem.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Hardy, second by Councilmember Robinson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion passes 6-0.
Now on to our public comment period. The public comment period is a period reserved for comments by the public. Oh, special recognition, okay. Thank you. I was gonna skip it.
All right. I'd like to ask Don Octigan and Deputy Chief Casey Thomas to come forward. Tonight, it is my honor to recognize both Don Octigan and Deputy Chief Casey Thomas for the graduation from the UNC School of Government Municipal Administration course. The course through the UNC School of Government spans 7 months and involves approximately 160 hours. That's a lot of hours right there. 160 hours of instruction, reading, and casework. The course is designed for managers and officials whose responsibilities require an understanding of the functions beyond individual areas of specialization. Municipal officials must apply for the course and be accepted in order to participate. The course says here is demanding. Is it pretty demanding? And requires a substantial amount of commitment of time and dedication to learning. Major subject areas are local government law, organization and management, my favorite, finance and budgeting, public employment law, planning and regulation of development, and municipal and county services. Participants must meet attendance requirements and complete the quizzes and assignments in order to graduate. And again, tonight, I am pleased to recognize both of you for not only the outstanding work that you do every day, but also your commitment to advance your professional career, not only for the city of Greenville, but also, most importantly, for the citizens of our community by completing this course. There is no doubt it will allow you to be able to fulfill your duties much more efficiently for the city of Greenville after completing the courses. So again, congratulations.
Now on to the public comment period. The public comment period is a period reserved for comments by the public. Items that were or are on the schedule to be the subject of public hearings conducted at this meeting or another meeting during the same week shall not be discussed. A total of 30 minutes is allocated, with each individual being allowed no more than 3 minutes. Individuals who registered with the city clerk to speak will speak in order of their registration until the time is allocated. If time remains after all persons who are registered have spoken, individuals who did not register will have the opportunity to speak until the 30 minutes has expired. Madam Clerk, our first speaker.
Yes, ma'am. First speaker is Miss Marion Blackburn. I'm going to address the council from the public podium.
Hey, Marion.
Hi, everybody. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Foreman, members of the council, and of course, city staff. I'm Marion Blackburn, and I live in the River Hills neighborhood. I have a couple of matters that I'd like to speak with you about tonight. The first is when we discussed the annexation on Mann Farm Road off 10th Street, and I know my peers up here remember that very well, with its commercial plans for a strip mall and a tropical smoothie. Many of my peers on the council expressed their concerns, and I too objected. The community also spoke about the beautiful stand of heritage trees that the developers would most likely cut to the ground. Indeed, Greenville's Tree Coalition and many other people reached out to us specifically to share their fear that the Leland cypress trees, which look to be maybe 100 years old, would be felled. Sadly, that has happened. These beautiful Leland cypress trees have been hacked down. They now lie on the ground or have already been removed. Indeed, they fell before any other activity other than surveying took place on the lot, making it appear that someone was in a hurry to get them down. Seeing them gone, I'd like to ask your members of council and our city staff to fulfill its pledge to the people of this community and work to preserve our trees and existing foliage. We all understand the state legislature has tied our hands, but we can use incentives, and we can work with property owners and developers to keep more existing trees intact and not cut to the ground. And sadly, when we have an area like this that has now lost its heritage character, we are losing to places like Wilmington. You drive through Wilmington and you see their trees, their heritage trees, they're covered in Spanish moss, and you really have a sense of place in Wilmington. And whenever I see a feature like this of our city destroyed, I say to myself, these are visitors, residents, and industries that we're losing to other communities unless we embrace who we are and cherish it and preserve it. The second matter that I'd like to share with you all tonight has to do with our bus shelters. It's budget season, and I know our city manager has many demands for our limited funds. At the same time, I'm asking this council and our staff to press harder to get those shelters in place. I see people waiting in the rain, and while that's heartbreaking, at least with rain, you think to bring your umbrella. What truly crushes me is seeing people standing in the blazing sun. No trees, no overhang, nothing. Sure, they could bring an umbrella, but already they're having to carry so much for whatever errand or appointment that they have. Are we really asking every bus rider to carry their own shelter too? So in conclusion, I'm asking for our city manager and our city staff to make these bus shelters a priority. And by the way, I do not mind paying my taxes to the city of Greenville because I know how well it's run and operated, and I appreciate my tax dollars being used for projects like this one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marion, and I agree with you with the bus shelters. Madam Clerk, our next speaker.
Yes, ma'am. Next speaker is Ms. Sangeeta Tiwari. You've got 3 minutes to address the mayor and council.
Good evening, council and community.
Good
My
evening.
name is Sangeeta Tiwari, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the Down East Community Tennis Association. We're a local USTA Community Tennis Association, and I'm serving as vice president under President Rodney Bailey. Our mission is to serve our community by promoting health and wellness through the love of tennis. We're a volunteer-led nonprofit organization that supports programs that grow the game of tennis in Pitt County. We advocate for, coordinate, and help maintain tennis opportunities for players of all ages and backgrounds. Our guiding principle is accessibility, ensuring that tennis is open to everyone, tennis for all. First, I'd like to thank you for proclaiming May as National Tennis Month. The proclamation states many of the health, social, and educational benefits of our sport. Experts believe that tennis's unique blend of physical, cognitive, and social challenges contribute to a healthy lifestyle. Studies have shown that tennis players live almost 10 years longer than sedentary peers. Tennis offers a full-body workout as it alternates between intense bursts of movement and brief periods of recovery. And tennis is also cognitively demanding and naturally social. It's a sport that exercises your brain and buffers against isolation. I like to compare it to chess with movement and can personally attest to the fact that some of my oldest friends here in Greenville started as tennis partners. Second, I'd like to thank Don Octigan and Recreation and Parks for allowing us to participate in their Rec and Roll events. Events like Rec and Roll give us the perfect platform to introduce tennis to a targeted youth audience and to share these life-changing benefits with the community. It has been a joy to get out there and share my sport with energetic and curious children. A simple field turns into an active, teaching, and joyful tennis court. And before I close, I'm excited to share that Greenville will host the USTA North Carolina State Championships for players 65 and up. From May 14 to 17, 69 teams from across the state will compete at 4 clubs in Winterville, Greenville, Snow Hill, and Wilson. We invite council members in the community to come watch a few matches. You'll see the energy, camaraderie, and health benefits of tennis on display. We're excited to continue supporting Greenville's efforts to promote active, healthy lifestyles. DCTA is committed to expanding tennis opportunities for juniors, adults, seniors, adaptive players all across Pitt County. And we look forward to future collaborations that help more city residents discover the lifelong sport of tennis. Anyone interested in learning should go to trytennis.net. Here are a few fun facts to leave you with. Tennis has grown over 50% in the last 6 years.
And that's time.
And the U.S. Open is the largest single sporting event in the world, with over 1.3 million people attending last year. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the proclamation and all your work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, our next speaker.
Mayor Pro Tem, there are no additional speakers, registered speakers.
Okay. Well, anyone else who would like to speak during the public comment period, please come forward and state your name. Seeing none, we will close the public comment period and move on to the consent agenda. Mr. Manager?
All right, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Under consent agenda, item number 2, approval of minutes. Item number 3, amendment of the 2026 schedule of city council meetings. Item number 4, ordinance enacting and adopting supplement number 2026-S17 to the City of Greenville Code of Ordinances. Item number 5, resolution amending the City of Greenville personnel policies. Item number 6, amendment to the 2010 Interlocal Tax Collection Agreement with Pitt County. Item number 7, resolution accepting dedication of right-of-way and easements for Mann Farm Lot 2. Item number 8, agreement with Carolina Coastal Railway LLC to replace railroad crossing on Arlington Boulevard. Item number 9, resolution declaring 2 Ford sedans as surplus and authorizing their disposition to Pitt Community College Basic Law Enforcement Training Program. Item number 10, approval to purchase maintenance equipment for the operation of North Recreational Complex. And item number 11, approval of contract with SOVRA-International Database Corporation for procurement and contract management system.
Motion to approve items 2 through 11.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Robinson, seconded by Councilmember Hardy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Motion passes 6-0.
On to new business.
All right, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Under new business, item number 12, presentation of the City of Greenville fiscal year 2026-2027 proposed budget. I now call forward our Chief Financial Officer, Jacob Joyner, for the presentation.
Good evening, council members.
Good evening.
Yeah, the fiscal year 26-27 proposed operating budget for the City of Greenville. To give you a few little snippets to see where we got to where we are today. The process really kind of started in January, and that's where we had the mid-year update presented to council, as well as the council, well, it was supposed to be the council planning session that got rearranged a little bit. But that's where we start looking at goals and where we are currently with revenues and spend for the year. And then in April, we met and had a budget preview presented to council small groups, as well as the class and compensation study. And in May, we'll have the full budget preview presented tonight. And looking ahead to June, we'll have adoption and a public hearing on the budget at the June 9th meeting. The city's operating budget comprises of 4 different pieces. You have the city operating funds. There's also the Greenville Utility Commission, the Convention and Visitor Authority, and Shepherd Memorial Library. Those 3 will be presenting their budgets in more detail on Thursday night. But all told, that brings us to about $530 million. And the city operating budget comes in at just under $195 million, with about 64% of that comprising of general fund spend. The general fund is our main operating fund, and that one comes in at just over $124 million. When we look to prepare a budget, the first thing we always start with is what is the city's mission, because that's what everything should go back to at the once we're completed. And the city's mission is to provide all citizens with high-quality services in an open, inclusive, professional manner, ensuring community of progress and excellence now and in the future. And after the mission, we have our goals. Just to kind of highlight those, goal is to build a high-performing, diverse organization and govern with transparency and fiscal responsibility, and tell our story to the community and region. Proactively enhance community engagement, enhance safety, wellness, and environmental responsibility, complete public infrastructure improvements, and execute existing opportunities related to transportation networks, recreation and parks, and stormwater projects. Expand the economic hub of Eastern North Carolina through proactive, responsible economic development and job creation. Build a thriving and attractive community by creating meaningful access to affordable, habitable, and quality housing for all citizens. Expand the artistic, cultural, and recreational opportunities, and make Greenville a destination community and place for all people to call home. So looking through the goals and how we try to tie back all the budget to the goals, the first thing to kind of highlight is that we propose maintaining the property tax rate at 39.54 cents. That is consistent with the past 2 years coming out of the revow, and looking back historically continues the trend where you see the city's tax rate generally lowering over time. And that, compared to other regional cities and peer cities that we have, is one of the lowest in the state. Approximately 85% of all general fund revenue that we take in goes right back into providing core service areas, and those are police, our fire rescue, our recreation and parks, neighborhood and business services, economic development, capital-related debt services, facility improvements, and street improvements. We invest 64% of the general fund into City of Greenville employees that serve our city every day. The proposed budget provides for the implementation of the class and compensation study, raising all employees to 5% above the minimum of the salary bands. It provides for an average 3.25% wage increase for all employees, and provides funding to change the 401k contribution from 4% per pay period to 5%. And to break those out, some of the changes will take place July 1st with the new fiscal year. Others are proposed to take place January 1st. July 1st, we'll see the merit increases of an averaging of 1%, pension cost increases, 12 new fire rescue positions, and employer-side health insurance increases. And January 1st would see the 2.25% market adjustments, the implementation of the class and compensation study, and the 401k increases. The city's budget also provides for an increase of $600,000 to cover the increased cost of fuel and parts to operate the city's fleet operations. Under Goal 2, to proactively enhance community engagement, the budget provides for the creation of the Community Engagement Division within Community and Development Services, includes funding for community engagement, for the community engagement position, includes funding to expand outreach efforts to include more face-to-face communication through public meetings and door-to-door visits, enhances community engagement by having recreation and park staff at city-sponsored special events to provide upcoming offerings and gauge feedback on the various services residents would like to see offered. Under Goal 3, for enhancing safety, wellness, and environmental responsibility, the proposed budget provides for $250,000 in funding for pedestrian safety projects around our city, provides $750,000 for 12 additional fire rescue positions as part of the 2472 schedule change, and provides $300,000 in funding for medical supplies for EMS units due to the hospital no longer providing those for our EMS units. The proposed budget provides for $100,000 in new funding to support ADA and sidewalk expansion and infill projects. That increases that budget to $500,000 annually. And the goal is to establish $1 million recurring budget by fiscal year 2029. Goal 4, complete public infrastructure improvements. The proposed budget invests an additional $525,000 in funding to support the city's information technology hardware and software. Provides $400,000 for IT infrastructure replacements. It provides $3.5 million in annual funding for the city's pavement management program. That's a $400,000 increase. And provides $500,000 in annual funding for ADA and sidewalk improvements, which is a $100,000 increase. It provides $6.36 million in pay-as-you-go funding for various capital project initiatives, $1.2 million in funding for the facility improvement program, and $5.16 million in funding for the city's vehicle replacement program. It continues implementation of the stormwater utility plan that was approved in 2019. The plan funds stormwater capital project operations and preventive maintenance over the next 10 years. Under Goal 5, to expand the economic hub of Eastern North Carolina through proactive, responsible economic development and job creation. Includes $500,000 for citywide economic development partnerships. It provides $20,000 in funding for the city's facade grant improvement program. And as a new appropriation, it provides $250,000 in funding to the Pitt Greenville Airport Authority. Under Goal 6, to build a thriving and attractive community, the proposed budget provides $450,000 in local funding to support the city's CDBG and housing initiatives, which includes down payment assistance, coordinated entry, construction training, rehabilitations, non-congregate sheltering, and gap funding for affordable housing tax credit projects. And it provides $300,000 in new funding for the Affordable Housing Strategic Plan, which is a $100,000 increase annually from prior year budget. The budget provides $800,000 in funding to enhance beautification of our city and parks, and that includes spending on contracted mowing, landscaping, street right-of-ways, and maintenance of city facilities, including parks. Under Goal 7, to expand artistic, cultural, and recreational opportunities, the budget includes $100,000 in funding for the Pitt County Arts Council at Emerge, for artist administration and additional greenway art. Provides for the Wildwood Boardwalk project and West Side Fishing Piers, and provides for the continued construction of the Town Common Bulkhead project. The proposed budget provides funding for the Greenville Museum of Art and the North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences, and provides for funding of Shepherd Memorial Library at a 4% increase in operational funding and $133,000 in capital funding. Under Goal 8, to make Greenville a destination community and place for all people to call home. Provides funding and support for over 50 community events. Some of what to highlight includes the Little League Softball World Series, July 4th, National Night Out, the Youth Arts Festival, Free Boot Fridays, and the annual Christmas Parade and Market at Town Common. And just to reiterate, the city's budget is a strong reflection of the city's mission to provide all citizens with high-quality services in an open, inclusive, professional manner, ensuring a community of progress and excellence now and in the future. And now we get, after the highlights, we'll go into kind of a little bit more of the detail, particularly surrounding the general fund budget, which we talked about makes up most of our operational spending. So where we start with the budget is always going to be revenues, and that's where we look at and project how much we have available. For fiscal year 26-27, most of our revenue, about 80 out of every $100, comes from 4 different sources, and that's property taxes, sales taxes, the GUC transfer in, which is set by their charter, and the utilities franchise tax. All told, the estimated revenues for fiscal year 27 total $124 million. And for fiscal year 26, which we are currently wrapping up, we had started with a budget of $118.8 million, and the new budget includes $5 million of proposed revenue adjustments to bring us to the $124 million. Those changes are reflected through $1.2 million of growth in property taxes, a $4.2 million increase in sales tax, and that amount includes an amount that we did not expect to receive this year, as well as projected growth for next year, so it's a little bit larger than we would typically see. It includes $570,000 in new revenue related to rescue transport fees, and also $200,000 in new revenues related to just general departmental revenues that they have for fees and services spread throughout all of our city departments. That is offset by a $1 million decrease in investment income, as we spent the ARPA money that we received from the federal government, which was about $24 million, and with interest rates declining, we have seen a dip in our investment revenue over the past year, which was somewhat within expectation. We knew this was coming. So this would be just kind of getting us to where the budget should be on that side. So here's our property tax rate, once again, at the 39.54 cents. And this is over the past 20 years, the lowest it's been, as you know, it's down from a high of 56 in 2008, and we've had a continued trend of lowering tax rate every few years. To kind of go a little bit about what that 39.54 cents represents, that is the tax that's on every $100 of property valuation. So when you look at your house property, divide it by 100 before you multiply it by 39.54. And every penny of the tax rate generates $1.2 million in property tax revenue for the city. So growth of the tax base, if the tax base grew $100 million, we would generate $395,000 of new revenue. And just to give you kind of a target number, the city has about $12 million of property value within the city. And growth of the tax base of $253 million is required to generate $1 million in additional property tax revenue. So looking at the tax rate, just to kind of give some perspective on where our peers are. Pitt County, we are the lowest in the county by far. The Pitt County ones do include the EMS charge or tax that the county puts on everybody else in the county that the city residents do not have to pay, since we provide EMS. Compared to surrounding counties, Greenville is once again at the low end, with New Bern just underneath us at 39 cents. And compared to our benchmark peers, Greenville is again the second lowest, with Wilmington coming in at 28 cents. And Wilmington does have at least double the amount of assessed value within their city that Greenville does. So there we are, just compared to everybody once again. So then we kind of look at sales tax is another one of our big revenue sources that we've seen. We've actually seen significant growth in that area this year. Of the 7 cents that everybody pays when they buy something in the county, 2% of that is what goes back to the county and the city on a per capita basis. And the city of Greenville per capita compared to the rest of the county is about 40%. So we receive about 40% of that revenue. Over the past few years, we did have quite high growth prior to 2022 outside of one COVID year. But then starting in 2023, we just saw a continued decrease in the amount of taxes and growth that we were seeing in the sales tax area, which kind of caused sales tax to be relatively flat. But we did see in this year a return to normal growth that we like to see for the city in the economic base. And we're projecting sales tax coming in at about $33.2 million this year, which is growth from the 31.4 we had last year. And considering both of those, we are projecting next year's sales tax revenue to be about $34.7 million. The GC turnover is a two-part transfer that they make to us every month. Part of that is based on their net transfer base, which that is their assets minus any debt that they have, times a 6% rate. And they also refund us for 50% of the lighting costs, street lighting costs that the city pays. So on their turnover side, which is based on their net assets, we are projecting a decrease next year. That's a timing thing, as they issued a large amount of debt at the end of last fiscal year. So as they spend that debt and build new things, that will once again kind of bring us back to where we were in 2026. So that's the revenues. Then we go kind of start looking at general fund budget expenses. And we'll kind of go in detail through various areas there. Just to kind of summarize it, in total, the operating funds will be $124 million. Half of that, 124, is spent on public safety, and that's your police and that's your fire rescue. And Those two come in at $61.7 million. Other large departments would include Recreation and Parks at $16.3 million, our Engineering Department at just under $9 million, and Community and Development Services at $2.7 million. General government comprises a lot of a lot of your central operations that support the rest of the city, and that's $18.3 million, and then another $15.3 million in transfers, which we'll get in detail in a little bit. Most of our spending, about 63%, is spent on personnel. So those are the people that you see working each and every day within the city of Greenville. And of those personnel, I think over half are public safety employees. So that's nearly 2 out of 3 invested in people. And the main thing that's kind of driving the personnel budget looking into next year will be the classification and compensation study, which was adopted last month at the joint meeting. But just kind of highlight a few things from that study that we're looking at with the budget. Is the main thing is to make sure that the city and GEC are competitive within the marketplace and that they're internally equitable and reflect market conditions. And looking at that, it's based on peer cities. Those include public sector peers, which are other cities that we'll compare ourselves to, as well as utility peers for GEC. And the main thing we saw coming out of the study was that the city is very competitive where its pay bands where they are compared to our peers. Listed out, you can see outside of a handful of outliers, the city is generally comparable. City of Concord is obviously a much different economic environment than the city of Greenville as a suburban area of Charlotte. But otherwise, with just 1 or 2 outliers, the city is very competitive. Most of the places we weren't competitive was on the utility side, not the city side. So getting that, to get to the $124 million, we do go through the same side of revenues of making adjustments to everything. And those adjustments will also equal $5.1 million so that we have a balanced budget. And in a nutshell, those adjustments are to full year and mid-year pay and benefit increases, which equals approximately $4.2 million. Another $2 million of other expenses, which I'll go into detail about, as well as $1.4 million of decreases, and a new allocation of $250,000 to support the Pitt Greenville Airport. On the personnel side, we have the full year pay and benefit increases. That includes a merit increase of 1% on average for employees. That would be $645,000. Pension cost increases, this is mandated by the state of North Carolina, and we don't have an option on whether or not we pay it. And that will cost the city $464,000. Health insurance, we are budgeting $1 million to help support our self-insured health fund that pays for health claims for new employees or for all employees, and as well as 12 new fire rescue positions. We're projecting that at $750,000, and the bulk of the costs are actually going to be offset by decreases in overtime and other hours that are currently being worked by existing employees. At the mid-year, that would be the class and comp study will be implemented. That'll bring all employees to 5% above the minimum. That'll cost $535,000. Market increases of 2.25% will be $726,000, and increasing the city's 401k contribution to 5% will be $152,000. Other expenses we're seeing, one new ones that we see is the EMS medical supplies, and that's where we're budgeting $300,000 to stock medications on ambulance, and this is driven by changes from ECU Health because they used to provide those free of charge to our EMS units. Since it is a new cost that the city has really no historical basis for, we'll work with Fire Rescue to keep an eye on that and track spending on that and make sure that we are setting enough aside money so that they're always stocked. We got fleet increases of $600,000. This is in large part due to rising cost of fuel as well as parts inflation that we've seen, and also IT cost increases of $524,000, and this is just due to general increasing in software and hardware cost in that area. The city proposes increasing the amount that we contribute annually to street improvements of $400,000. This will bring that to $3.5 million. And we also propose increasing our contribution to the ADA sidewalk program and the affordable housing program $100,000 each. And that will bring those two programs to $500,000 and $300,000 respectively. And we do have some decreases in expenses that we're proposing to kind of offset these other costs that we're seeing. One of the main ones is decreasing the OPEB contribution by $200,000. This contribution is to a trust fund for future OPEB costs. OPEB would be retiree health insurance. It stands for other post-employment benefits, but it's the insurance that the city provides for retirees. And we're able to decrease that because the trust that we invest in, we made changes to how it was invested about 4 years ago, and we've seen tremendous returns there. So to help offset future costs in that area, the city does have about $14 million in a trust managed by the state. So we'll decrease that contribution to $500,000 annually. The city proposes reclassifying just over $1 million of expenses to enterprise funds. This main change will be moving code enforcement division to under the inspections fund. And through various reductions and allocations to departments and other budget increases and just general discretionary decreases, the city proposes reducing the budget $149,000. And those adjustments, along with the $250,000 for Pitt Greenville Airport, gets us to the $5.1 million change in expenditures. And this right here is kind of a lot on the spreadsheet, but it is all those changes kind of listed out. And this will be a good time. I know I just like this. I got a lot more slides to go, but this is a lot of information. If there's any questions now about the general fund specifically, we can take a moment to answer those, or I can keep going.
Any question?
Okay. So the general fund, just kind of go through a couple more main things just to highlight. On the operating side, we do propose spending $27 million. What that funds is $4.7 million in computer software expenses, fleet expenses of $4.4 million. We have insurance expense between premiums and liability cost of $2.1 million, $3.5 million in utilities, $1.1 million in mowing cost. And then on public safety operations, we propose having $1.3 million for police operations and $1.1 million for fire rescue operations. On the transfers, which is the $15.3 million, it goes to a variety of sources. The number one source, though, is to pay for the city's ongoing debt service cost. This goes to support the current and future debt service payments as per our long-range debt plan. And this does include funding to support the $20 million in debt that we'll be issuing in July to finance the completion of the Town Common Bulkhead project and phase 1 of the sports complex project. And it should be noted that with that issuance, general fund money will only be paying for the Town Common Bulkhead project, and we'll be using occupancy tax dollars to pay for the debt on the sports complex. $1.2 million goes to the facility improvement fund. This is split 3 ways: through recreation and parks at $400,000, which goes and invests into maintaining all of the recreation complexes and parks that you see throughout the city. $400,000 towards public works, which goes to maintaining the buildings that city employees work in and operate out of every day, and $400,000 towards information technology, which goes to things such as server replacements to maintain our IT infrastructure. We'll be proposing about $4.3 million to the Engineering Capital Project Fund. The bulk of that is the $3.5 million to the Pavement Management Program, $350,000 to traffic safety projects, and $500,000 to pedestrian improvements. We also have a $700,000 proposed budget to the CDBG and housing programs. That is partly goes to local match for the CDBG and home grant funds at $400,000, which is an increase from $375,000 this year, and the affordable housing program, and that's that $300,000 annually. And it should be noted, we also have an increase on the transit fund to $1 million from $750,000. And that is in large part due to the city having to take over paratransit operations that were used to be run through the county and are now city operations. So that's the general fund. We have another $71 million in spending in other funds through the city. To highlight some of the larger ones, we have the sanitation fund at proposed budget of $12.2 million. The one thing to highlight here is that does include year 2 of 3 and the rate increase plan that we presented last year, and that will bring the base rate to 20.25 cents per month for sanitation services. Stormwater fund, the stormwater fee stays consistent at 9.35 cents per ERU, and it allows for the continuation of stormwater capital plan. We do have a new fund that's been established, and that's the sports complex operational fund, and it's where we're going to account for the revenues and expenses within that complex. And as they get started and get operational, the fund will be funding that with a mixture of usage fees and occupancy tax reserves until fully self-sustaining, which we hope to see in year 2 or 3. The health insurance fund, we're proposing a budget of $16 million. Just some things that we've seen happening there. Calendar year 2025 did see an increase of approximately 35% in health insurance claims, and that represents about $4 million. So some of the things that I haven't seen, increased premiums 10% for both employee and employer side in January. And using the combination of the premium increases and one-time funding, we believe this will allow the health insurance fund to be self-sustaining as we go on.
And Mr. Joyner, I'd like to add, a couple of months ago, we did provide an overview to council that said we had seen a significant number of larger claims this year. That was well outside the norm. It was an outlier. This is an area we'll continue to pay very special attention to. This year we have $1 million increase in that budget. Just to know, though, our goal is to be able to mitigate this moving forward, but we got to pay special attention to that. That does not become the norm. So we just got to pay very close attention to that.
And those are the funds that kind of highlight all the other funds that we do the spending on. So in summary, once again, general fund makes up about 65% of operating funds for the city of Greenville, and that comes with a $124 million budget. All in total, just under $195 million in operational spending for fiscal year 27 is proposed, with $5 million of adjustments from the fiscal year 26 operating budget. And those are funding pay and benefit increases as well as other operations, and $250,000 to Pitt Greenville Airport.
And if you go back to, and what's very important to realize here is, we talk about the fact that our greatest asset are our employees. And you can see that 83 out of every $100 worth of increase, we are investing back into our employee base. That is a strong commitment to our employees. But at the same time, if you move forward, those other increases, Lord knows we have $300,000 in medical supplies, $600,000 in fleet expense increases. We are also increasing our street improvements program by $400,000, ADA and affordable housing, another $200,000. So these are a lot of one-time expenses that normally we do not have to incorporate into our budget. This is a very interesting year that we just had a presentation to council a couple of months ago where in order for us just to maintain our streets at the current level, we need an additional $2 million a year. That $400,000 increase would allow us over the next several years, if we keep increasing it at that level, to be able to meet that that additional $2 million. But it's still important to know that's just to maintain the current level of funding, of conditions of our streets. We really need, in order to move it forward, I believe Lisa was saying a good $7 million So there are a lot of one-time type of expenditures in here that we're having to incorporate into our budget, but at the same time, still making our employees the number one priority moving forward.
So looking forward, Thursday night, May 14th, the GUC, Shepherd Memorial Library, Convention and Visitor Authority, and also the airport will be here to present their budget for next fiscal year. And on June 8th, we'll have a public hearing and adoption for the fiscal year 26-27 proposed budget. And I'm here, happy to answer any questions anyone has.
Any questions, board discussion?
I just want to make a comment. In a tight fiscal year, what we're able to accomplish is pretty incredible. Some highlights for me is the sports complex, continue to develop that idea, move that forward. Town Common Bulkhead is coming into shape and looks really great. It's really exciting. That's going to be really transformative for the riverfront and for our whole downtown, I believe. Supporting the airport, the library, the Arts Council, the Science Museum, and other organizations throughout the city that are so important to our culture and livelihood and enjoyment of our citizens. 12 new fire positions, a really big deal. Street improvements, not quite up to par, but we're working towards it. Like you're saying, we're making our people our priority, paying above market. Even in a tough year, we're able to give raises and get to a competitive place that we're taking care of our people. Not totally happy with that, but we're working towards it and excited about the progress. Sidewalk expansion, the 401k contribution continues to grow. From 2 years ago, I think we were paying, what, like $40 a pay period?
$40 a pay period.
And now we're at 5%.
5%, which absolutely.
That's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
So that's really exciting. And the Greenville Fire and Rescue, I continue to hear, I'm in the public all the time being at the Scullery, and that's something that I could keep getting complimented about from our work. Just the level that we're, sorry, what am I trying to say? They're happy with what we've done. They are really thrilled, and we are fully staffed for the first time in a very long time at Greenville Fire and Rescue. And so I'm really proud of the work that we've done and for the quality of life that we're able to deliver our employees and the quality of service that they're going to be able to deliver to our citizens because of that. Those improvements is a really huge deal. So thank you to our staff for being creative and responsible with our budget and really taking care of as many things as possible. So lots of work to do, but thank you very much.
I just want to piggyback on what Matt said. Last week was Travel and Tourism Week, as proclaimed by our mayor, and I learned some numbers that in Pitt County alone, $320 million were spent in our county for travel tourism, and that ranks us at 26 out of 100 counties, and basically that creates 2,100 jobs in our county, and that's a savings of $124 per person in taxes. And so if we get this sports complex, not say if, when we get this sports complex up and operating, I think the feasibility study would estimate between 42 and 44 million in the economy. I now understand that's probably a low number. As soon as the complex is built, I'm hearing that we're probably going to have 2 hotels be erected. That's probably close to $60 million in taxable assets. Hotel revenues, because I think, if I remember correctly, 2,000 a weekend for both sports on both sides, bringing in about 2.5 people with them. So that's roughly about 8,000 to 9,000 people on a given weekend. That's hotel taxes. Then you're going to have businesses to service those people with restaurants and those kinds of things, retail. You're going to have hotels. So growing our city grows our property taxes, our sales taxes, and probably, I really believe our sports complex is going to bump us from 26 down even lower and lower our city, higher and higher to the top. Because if we're generating 320 million, imagine if we're having sports complex weekends, 45 weekends a year, what that will do for us.
And Councilmember Robinson, to that point, Jacob, Mr. Joyner, can you go back to the sheet that had the value of a penny and the growth. One of the most important slides in this presentation has to do with property taxes. And quite frankly, let's just say there's two ways to increase property tax revenue. It's to grow your tax base or to increase your property tax rate. And you see that at the very bottom, just to generate an additional $1 million in property tax takes an expansion, a growth in the tax base of $253 million. Well, our tax revenues are increasing $1 million. So that tells you our tax base, our economic growth has expanded $250 million. We are so fortunate. We're one of the few communities in Eastern North Carolina. We talk about being the hub of Eastern North Carolina, and that is true because our tax base is growing. The key there is for it to grow in a smart way. I think that this council has spent a lot of time looking at that, but we want to grow, and we want to grow in a smart way, because that growth our operations are dependent on that growth. Because if you don't get through growth, you're going to get through that second line item, which is each penny generates $1.2 million, and you don't want it to be on the backs of the taxpayer. So, to your point, yes, as these initiatives grow, the capital grows, doing it in a smart way, that we're going to see that direct benefit back to the citizens.
And I believe as we do that smart growth, I know several of you and I have spoken about, we just don't want to grow. We want to be structured in a way that's healthy and good for our citizens and our county and our city. But as we grow, we see the opposite. If you look at those charts you gave our neighboring cities and counties, like an example, Kinston, 73% tax rate. And look at, I'm not trying to beat up on Kinston, but when you don't have that type of growth in the city council operating like we do, which is great, that's what happens to you. And you look and see what they're offering for the return on the dollar, and you go, wow. And then you look at what we're doing, and I think as we grow, I really think that we can get our tax rate lower and have more revenues, but we got to do it in a structured way where we grow our city.
And to add to this conversation, what does smart growth look like? It is the fact that in this budget, this council and the prior council has appropriated now a recurring $500,000 a year to sidewalks and ADA improvements. I keep saying it. I know 10 years from now, when I'm long gone and retired, 15 years from now, that one decision that this council is making to expand sidewalks and ADA improvements within our community is going to make us a more walkable community, more pedestrian-friendly community, which will have direct impact on our growth. The fact that now that not only do we have the 50 and 10 program that was started through contributions from the private and public sector, but now we are also putting $300,000 a year into affordable housing programs. And another one that you can't directly put a price tag on within the budget. It's there, like Prego sauce is in there. But it's the conversation we had about code enforcement. Just using the dollars that we have in the budget more efficiently to operate a code enforcement program, inspections program that's doing right by people, also has a direct impact on smart growth. So it's not just the dollar and cents of putting it here and there. We're to continue to strive to do it in a very positive, smart way. And that's a challenge, because we also know you deal with a lot of annexations that you'll deal with a lot this week. But intentionally, we have that on the forefront of our mind, is what can we do to grow in a smart way and to grow that tax base in a smart way.
I think you're right. I think I said, and other members have said, we can't be a great city and county unless everybody grows together. All sections of north, south, east, and west. And I think as a council, we're doing that because we're not just looking at sidewalk improvements, we're looking at improvements in housing, by affordable housing, trying to make that available, and improving the condition of housing that's rented. But I'm absolutely comfortable that the north side of the river is going to be blowing up here soon, with the north out there by Bethel that way, and what's going on with Mr. Beast and that stuff, and industrial development over there in the sports complex. I think that's going to be a segue to make us more of a destination city. I'm excited to see what it's going to bring. I do really believe we've been spending our dollars well, because we've increased salaries, we've increased positions, we put money where we're trying to, not just talk it, but actually walk it. We're doing a good job, and I think we're just going to grow. I think we're on the edge of it.
And this, next year at this time, we will have a health clinic and pharmacy over on the north side that we are with, through a partnership with ECU Health and Unshakable Builders, doing Newkirk, moving forward with that as we speak.
Lots of good, healthy partnerships.
Yes.
I concur with everything that has been said from Matt, Les, and Michael, and I think that this is a prime example of us keeping people the priority. I appreciate the fact that you guys went back to reiterate that the tax base was increasing without the tax rate increasing, so that citizens will understand that we're putting them first and paying attention to that. And the fact that we are keeping people the priority, both with staff and, to reiterate what you said, with us addressing substandard housing and making that a priority, both with staff and the citizens of the community.
And one other thing I got to add is, I heard Ms. Blackburn speak of bus shelters, and by no means that needs to be accelerated on the forefront as well. That is a project that it might not be directly in here, because we are still installing the bus shelters as part of the first appropriation. We're still in the process of laying those out. Quite frankly, we have learned a lot through that.
Right.
And we've learned that, first of all, we don't have enough, and then the quality of the ones we do are not enough.
That's right.
So that is something that we need to take a look at.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the answer right this moment.
I know you've been tired of me sending you pictures. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Jacob.
Do we need action on that?
Next item.
Yeah, so the next step will be to bring this back. The budget is available for public viewing. Matter of fact, we had a post the other day. It is available for the community to hear this. It's available for view also at City Hall. You contact our financial services department, you can get a copy of it electronically. And then we'll bring this back in June for a public hearing, make any take recommendations that council may have, or take recommendation for approval. So we still got a couple of months into this. It's not done, but this is just the first pass for you to hear it. Now you can digest it and let staff know if there's any questions that you may have moving forward.
All right, next item.
So that's the presentation of the budget. Mayor Pro Tem, the next item is item number 13, Budget Ordinance number 10, amending the 2025-26 General Fund Ordinance number 2025, number 25-020, and the Special Revenue Grant Fund Ordinance number 11-003. Again, call forward our Chief Financial Officer, Jacob Joyner, for the presentation.
This is Budget Ordinance Amendment number 10. This will be impacting the General Fund and the Special Revenue Grant Fund. Item A, recognizing surplus revenue and adjusting departmental budgets based on projected actuals. That will lead to an increase in the General Fund of $440,000. Item B, appropriating fund balance for required repairs to the Arlington Boulevard Railroad crossing. That will increase the General Fund to $199,000. We have item C, appropriating funding for the 2025 Edward Byrne Justice Assistance Grant Award. That will increase the Special Revenue Grant Fund by $27,700. And appropriating revenues to support small business assistance grants, and that would increase the general fund $100,000. All told, that brings the overall operating budget to $205.7 million, and we ask that the council approve it.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Scully, seconded by Councilmember Hardy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Motion passes 6-0.
All right, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Item number 14, presentation providing analysis of Philadelphia ICE policies and comparative analysis for North Carolina local governments. Now call forward our Assistant City Attorney, Scott Dixon, for the presentation.
Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council, how are we doing tonight? Should be your last PowerPoint of the evening, I think. If you guys recall, we had pretty significant public intrigue about the Philadelphia ICE model, and so as directed by council, we kind of put something together for you guys. It's really about 3 components. It's pretty brief, but first is, what is the Philadelphia ICE model? What does it encompass? You'll see it's kind of a combination of several things. Second, slight breakdown between the governing structure of Pennsylvania and North Carolina, because I don't think members of the public necessarily are aware of that, and it kind of illuminates some things. And then finally, kind of applicability to North Carolina and whatever limitations we have. Okay. All right, so as discussed, presentation will outline currently identified Philadelphia immigration enforcement materials, including City Council's 2026 ICE Out legislative package, Philadelphia's existing welcoming city executive policy framework, and the Philadelphia Sheriff's January 2025 policy. The 2026 ICE Out legislative package is a multi-bill initiative introduced on January 29, 2026. Proposed measures listed as pending legislation rather than enacted law. I actually checked this morning just to make sure you guys were up to date with the most recent information. It has been formally passed within about the last 2 or 3 weeks. It was signed by the mayor, every aspect of it except the mask ban, but we'll get into that in a minute. It's described as barring ICE from using city-owned property as staging location for raids, barring city employees from granting ICE agents access to city-owned spaces without judicial warrant, restricting masking and concealment of identity by ICE agents, and otherwise strengthening previously enacted Philadelphia enacted welcoming city protections. The mask ban was thrown out. You might recall California tried to attempt something along those same lines. It was kind of thrown out in court and declared kind of unconstitutional. Philadelphia, that is the one component of what they were proposing in January that he did not sign. So I think their attorney advised them that was the most problematic, and that's so I think it still could become law because I think it's veto-proof how they're set up, but just know, as it stands right now, it was introduced in January, it's formally adopted within the last 2 or 3 weeks. That was the only one not signed by the mayor. That's where we're at.
Do you know what the reason behind that?
What I just stated, I think their attorney had basically advised them that the mask ban essentially is probably the most unconstitutional in that it can be construed as discriminatory against federal agents, and it's just preempted essentially. You don't get to kind of dictate what their attire is going to be or their methodology is going to be. And so it was thrown out in California. There might still be some wiggle room in regards to how that's going to be done, but anytime there's any specific legislation done by any local government or state government that tries to dictate federal agents and how they conduct themselves, again, is legally murky and that you don't really have that authority necessarily. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. So in other law enforcement organizations, would they be permitted to wear masks if
So like, for
necessary?
instance, if you guys wanted to have attire restrictions for GPD, you would have some availability to do that because it's GPD, it's Greenville Police Department. If you were to say Kinston Police, we want to dictate what they were, you would have no authority to do that, right? It's always kind of hierarchical. We'll get to how the state preemption impacts it and federal preemption, all this kind of stuff comes into play. The federal government couldn't dictate what GPD officials were going to be wearing, but we also couldn't dictate what their officials are going to be wearing.
Sure, okay.
Does that kind of make sense?
Yes, sir.
And again, North Carolina really simplifies this analysis, which we'll get to in a moment, but, you know, as far as constitutionality of like anti-commandeering or them trying to control, there's some constitutional middle ground in regards to how we could kind of finagle this relationship or this issue that I think a lot of the members of the public have had issues with. But we'll see. North Carolina's kind of solved that problem for us in many respects. The second component of it was Philadelphia's welcoming city, Executive Orders 516 and 215. This actually predates what they tried to do in 2026 in January. It limits compliance with ICE detainer requests to situations involving a judicial warrant and release following conviction for a violent first or second degree felony. It further states that the Philadelphia Police Department does not enforce federal immigration law and does not give ICE access to records of people currently in city custody except within the executive order framework. All right, so as you just saw, again, that involved detainer requests, which I don't know if you guys are necessarily familiar with, but that's people that are in custody and would be kind of held over for ICE essentially. That would all be county, so courthouse policies, detainer, that would all be whatever limitations our county has, but that's their purview. We don't have any say over that. All right, now as it pertains to the governing structure. Pursuant to the First Class City Home Rule Act adopted by the Pennsylvania General Assembly in 1949, qualifying cities in Pennsylvania were afforded the ability to self-govern with significant powers through legislation and administration. Philadelphia approved the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter in 1951, which it operates under to this day. They have a strong mayor-centric system and a 17-member legislature. That is pretty common. So that strong mayor form of government is utilized by many large cities throughout the nation. I think Chicago does that as well, New York. This is in contrast to the city of Greenville. We operate under a council manager system. And North Carolina, which you're aware, you often hear described as a Dillon's rule state. So a lot of times these are kind of broken into two categories, home rule state, Dillon's rule state. We're actually even a little more restrictive than most Dillon rule states. We're kind of Dillon rule plus, I think, is the latest guidance from school of government. We are political subdivisions of the state and are creatures of statute. We only possess powers expressly granted to them by the state constitution of the legislator, along with those necessarily implied or essential to their operation. In North Carolina, the presumption is that actions taken by local government pursuant to powers not allocated under law are presumed not to exist. So again, just kind of 30,000-foot view of this. Even if North Carolina, like our state, took zero action in regards to this issue, we would be operating at kind of a disadvantage than Philadelphia is just in kind of the governing structure, if that makes sense. Where there would be some gray area or there would be some wiggle room, they would be kind of given the benefit of doubt in trying to make those kind of calls, and we would not. We would basically be construed to be that not legal. Now, North Carolina specific state law constraints. Now, as I just stated, if we didn't have this statute, there would still be some kind of avenues and wiggle room for you guys. We could kind of be creative in how we're going to come up with something. It might need to be tested in court, but North Carolina General Statute 168-205.2, essentially known as the Prohibition Against City Sanctuary Cities, provides that no city may have in effect any policy, ordinance, or procedure that limits or restricts the enforcement of federal immigration laws to less than the full extent permitted by federal law. Statute also bars cities from restricting communication of immigration status information and from prohibiting city law enforcement from inquiring into a person's immigration status, among other limitations. It is specifically applicable to cities in North Carolina and essentially preempts any effort by North Carolina municipalities to mirror Philadelphia policies analyzed. I've included a copy of the statute for reference on the next slide. And I've also reached out to the School of Government just to have an overall kind of discussion about this. And basically where we settled on is that line that says, policy, ordinance, or procedure that limits or restricts any affirmative step that we were to take would be construed as some type of limitation or some type of restriction. So North Carolina has essentially chosen to occupy the field and to preempt us. And I would also say, as an additional caveat, there is pending legislation right now that could waive civil immunity for the county and the city in regards to these kind of issues. It hasn't passed yet, but that's also out there in the ether. So that's kind of where we're working with. I know I'm throwing a lot at you. We tried to kind of keep this as simplified as possible, but honestly, the analysis from a North Carolina specific standpoint, pretty straightforward. They have occupied this field and they do not want cities to do anything or have any involvement with us. I'll be happy to answer any questions. I know we've kind of covered a lot there.
Do you know what year that passed?
Do you know what?
When did that pass?
I want to say under McCrory in about 2015.
Okay.
I could be a year or two off. And there's also been additional, I think there's been 2 or 3 separate kind of efforts in the last few years to kind of modify this or even go further with it to a degree. But essentially, big takeaway, we can't do anything that would stop them from doing everything in the power that they feel like they have the power to do. And, you know, that's kind of where things stand. I think there's been some efforts back and forth with the public pressure in recent, because obviously this, if it was 2015 under McCrory, that's before kind of the recent controversy in the last couple of years, but you know, that's all there. So I think there's been opinions on both sides, but where it stands, this is the law. So.
The issue of civil immunity, does that pertain only to immigration, or does it kind of bleed into other areas?
So the general rule on immunity as far as kind of entities go is we're pretty much immune if it's something that would be like a political administration and not necessarily something for profit, as long as we don't buy insurance, if that makes sense. That's about the simplest way that I can do it. So we can waive governmental immunity by purchasing certain types of insurance, if that makes sense. So for instance, GPD trying to do something that was law related, we can't civilly do them, we couldn't sue them for trying to do their job, but we can if it was a violation of constitutional rights, like a 1983 action, because government recognized and we have insurance for that type of thing, if that kind of makes sense. So as it stands right now, if a police officer were to help out with ICE execution of like a warrant or something along those lines, that would be considered a governmental function. They're covered, we have insurance, they have immunity, that's what they're supposed to be doing with their job. If for whatever you guys were to pass an ordinance that would say in contravention to that, or was to say not to cooperate or whatever, and let's say somebody's rights were to be violated or something were to happen, we wouldn't have that immunity, if that makes sense. Now, again, that hasn't passed. That's kind of just out there in the ether, but it's just an additional thing they're trying to put in there for the county and the city that would add a layer of risk, essentially, if that makes sense.
I've had some conversations about this at the community level, trying to, you know, just bring clarity and some education to what our actual role is as a city in on this topic. So in addition to the fact that there's a difference in the governing structure, could you or Michael make it clear of what our responsibilities are, or better yet, are not as a city as it relates to ICE as opposed to the county. If
Yeah,
something were to happen, then that would be a county function.
Yeah, so I would say, I mean, Mayor Pro Tem, I know you do a lot of on-the-ground kind of work, and you do a lot of work with disenfranchised members of society. And I think all of you are aware, the most significant component of a lot of this is usually courthouse stuff
That's
and
right.
schools and hospitals. That's largely where the controversies tend to occur. When I was in defense work, you always have an issue with people, you know, they're worried about their immigration status, they're worried they're going to be sent away, but they have to show up for court. Like, are there going to be arrests there? Like, it's a source of a lot of stress and anxiety for a lot of people. As it pertains to city-county breakdown of this, I don't think either of us really have a lot of wiggle room given this statute. I think there's kind of a mirroring statute that applies to the county in regards to this. As it pertains to sheriff officials, courthouse procedures, administrative procedures, all the county. But we have no say in that. We have no responsibility in that. There's nothing we can essentially do
That's
in
what I wanted
any
to be
way.
clear.
I know. And I include this statute in the materials, so they should be available for anybody if they have questions. But, you know, I'm hesitant to say the county can do a lot more because I really think they're
No,
pretty
they
limited
can't,
too.
but it's
Right.
still
But
their
they can do more
function,
than we
not
could
ours.
essentially, and they serve in a capacity and a role that I think is more directly impacted a lot of times.
Absolutely.
But it's a great question. And I hope I'm not being too convoluted with the fun constitutional answers. I know you guys are getting a lot of legalese stuff today.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Any other board discussion?
I think I want to also educate our public about, you know, people come in here and speak things as if they're facts, and they're not facts. They're absolutely not facts. And so I think it's important for us as a city council to become knowledgeable about what the facts are versus what somebody comes up here and says are the facts, because ICE is not targeting, they target people that are violent typically. They are targeting a particular individual, and they're targeting somebody oftentimes has been deported once already and gotten back into the country and is violent. And typically they're gang members. Trinidad Agua, MS-13, that have significant ties to gangs and gang-related violence. They're not after the person that may have come here illegally and is working in some restaurant or in the cleaning industry or something like that. They're not targeting those people, and I think that's a misapprehension. They're just picking up people off the street. They're not. They're targeting very specific violent people, much like the ones in Cherry Oaks that went in there, and I'm not going to really say all the details, but a graphic torture and violation in very bad ways by illegals that don't need to be in this country. And so the sharing of information amongst law enforcement agencies is critical to be able to capture these people, because they just don't operate in one state. They operate across multiple states: drug trafficking, human trafficking, sexual trafficking. And that, I'm not going to get into the Cherry Oaks thing, but that happened right in our backyard.
Well, I think our state has taken a pretty affirmative
Yeah, I
stance
think so, too.
of cooperation, essentially. And I do commend the council, because I do think this is a territory where I think the public does a lot of times not really necessarily know. And just as I mentioned, you know, I mean, you had maybe, 20 members of the public come in and ask about mirroring this ICE model, and it just passed. So, like, the thing largely being referenced as far as an initiative taken by another place wasn't even, in fact, passed until the last 2 or 3 weeks. So it's like, you know, most of the public would say, and you could see there was also an executive order, there was also a sheriff's policy. So it's like all these different kind of multifaceted layers to how they're trying to address this kind of polarizing issue. And you come in there like, hey, city council, we'd like you to adopt this ICE package. But it's like, they haven't even formally done it yet. They have a different structure. It's also working in conjunction with a mayor executive policy where they have a much stronger mayor and a sheriff policy. So it's really complicated. I think when you can present that information, it's always great. I think the more the public's aware of these kind of things and the little nuance to it, it's only helpful.
I think it would be helpful to get that information of what the protocols are for ICE so that we can educate our constituents and our city and county so that we can put people at ease. You know, I'm in the business and I deal with a lot of people, and they come in and they show me that fear, and I assuage those fears. You don't have anything to worry about.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to court for a speeding ticket or even a DWI. No, ICE is not going to come at the doorstep and pick and take you up out of here. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's a big educational thing. And I think the irony is, I did some homework that Philadelphia is doing this, which I think is an impediment to crime enforcement. Yet they rank 8th in the country out of violent crime per 100,000 people. And they are the #1 city for violent crime in America.
Wow.
The #1 city. Yet they want to do things that impede criminal enforcement. That says a lot about the city, but
I don't want Greenville to be in that category personally, and that's my position, and I'll say that publicly here today. I'll say it in the future. But I do want to educate our citizens, because I don't want anybody to have an unrecognized fear or a fear that's not correct, because that, if you do have that fear and you're in that category, produces stress and anxiety, because I've seen it as they come in my office, and I try and do everything I can to assuage it. And I think we as a city need to do the same thing to assuage what the fears are, should not be. And what we're really trying to do is to really target the criminals that are violent, that keep coming back and committing crimes. Like I said, it's in our backyard. I said, your district isn't it, Matt? I mean, that was a horrible thing that's happened right here, so we're not immune to it by any means.
Well, I have to say that, and I don't want to go down a rabbit hole with this, but I think that the education on our governmental structure and our responsibilities as a municipality compared to other municipalities is different than the narrative of what the objectives of ICE are. And so I do not want to go down that rabbit hole, but I think that, opinions might differ, as it relates to that.
It's a really
respectfully.
polarizing kind of a pick sides kind of thing in many respects, but I think the decision is out of y'all's hands, so to speak, in regards to the state kind of
That's what I
occupying this
want to
field.
make clear.
And I think the public should be pretty clear in that regard, and it's pretty clear in a lot of ways. And likewise, I mean, you guys spoke about short-term rentals earlier this afternoon, and I think it's equally frustrating in that kind of way, because it's like, it's legally murky, and we have a little wiggle room, but again, we're operating in a state where it's limited government, it's limited kind of authority, and you're out there to try to kind of take chances and make moves essentially where you can, where you think you can make a difference, but they don't make it easy sometimes.
Who's gonna make a comment?
But there's no action, it's just.
I mean, I appreciate the presentation, and there is a legitimate amount of fear and anxiety in our
Absolutely.
community. Citizens have died in our country because of the unprofessional actions of some officers in ICE. I'm not condemning the whole organization, but there is some legitimate fear and anxiety throughout our nation and our community that should be addressed through education like this, informing our citizens what their rights are and what to expect when an organization like ICE, should they come to town. So I agree with a lot that you said, Les, but I also just think the education needs to keep going, because we got to tell people what to expect and keep pushing to honor every person in our community, no matter what they look like or where they're from. They all deserve honor and respect and an opportunity to have a successful life here in our community. So,
Well, again,
appreciate the
I really commend you guys, because, I think you recall, we had a few members of the public that were just like, I just want to know kind of what we can do and like what the options are. So, I mean, I think anytime you can just provide that information and clarification, it's a huge thing. So.
It is.
All right.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you for your questions.
All right, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Next item is review of the May 14th, 2026 City Council agenda. So I ask that that agenda be displayed on the screen for the public. We'll give a few seconds for that to be digested. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Next is the city manager's report.
So, today was the first day for our interns for the 2026 summer. And we have 5 lucky individuals, let me tell you. I think that over the last 10 hours or so, they have realized how lucky they are. So I tell you what, I got their names written down right here. I want to ask each one to stand and be recognized. Put a name with a face here. We have Lauren Twine. We have Malia Pearson. Ben James. Mia Palma. And then Hansford Curran. I read my handwriting now.
Michael, will you share what areas they're working in?
I tell you what, each one, come here. Come to the podium.
That's how you do it.
We'd like to be
So,
introduced.
so one by
To the
one,
podium,
come up
to
to
the
the
podium.
microphone. And again, repeat your name, tell where you go to school, what your major is, and when you'll be graduating.
Yeah, I guess I'll go first. Hello, my name is Benjamin James, but I prefer to be called Ben. I'm a senior at East Carolina University, double majoring in community and regional planning and anthropology, and this is my second summer with the city, so I'm excited to be back. And I'll be working with the planning department mainly.
And just quickly, very quickly, what your project is.
Focusing on annexing properties to connect to external development in the future.
Right.
Hello, my name is Lauren Twine. I'm currently a graduate student at North Carolina Central University. I'll be graduating in the summer with my master's in public administration with a concentration in city and local government. Currently my program, well, my project, I should say, is focusing on community engagement and also partnering with the graphic design to make sure that we're able to pretty much reassure the citizens of Greenville of certain things that we're focused on that we talked about throughout our city council today.
My name is Hensford Curran. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm a student at University of North Carolina, Wilmington. I'm an economics major, and my final project will be on the merge between the ECU public transit system and the Greenville transit system.
Hey, my name is Malia Pearson, born and raised in Greenville, and so I'm attending Pitt Community College where I'm working towards my associates in graphic design. So I'll be graduating next May, so May 2027. And just like Lauren said, we're going to be working a lot together, but making like different brochures and graphics for like tax revenue and better understanding of those types of things. So.
Good evening. I'm Mia Palma. I'm a senior at East Carolina University. I'm majoring in regional and community planning. And over the summer, I'll be working with the fire department to help update the emergency services plan in Greenville. Thank you.
Welcome, welcome.
So we'll see how many show back up tomorrow. No, we're going to have a good time. They are going to learn everything about local government, how this sausage is made, and also be able to work on projects that will provide true value back to our city. Good learning. So welcome aboard. And Mayor Pro Tem, that's all I have.
All right, thank you. So we're going to move on to comments from council, starting with, he's still writing. So we will we'll start with Councilmember Jones.
Good evening, thank you. I'd like to say congratulations to Mr. Don Octigan and Deputy Chief KZ Thomas on your course graduation from UNC School of Instruction. I also want to give a big congratulations to my fellow Pirate alumni, Councilmember Seth Hardy. It was also great interns. It was great hearing the great things that y'all are getting ready to do here in this city. I also want to let it be known that I do stand with Marion Blackburn, her earlier statement about the bus stops and the continued lack of shelter. And I would like to also add seating. And I would like to know, Michael, like some updates about what's going on and if we decided to remove those dividers.
We did.
It was done. Okay, awesome.
Well, we're going to take care of it.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to get a wrench.
I
looked. It's just a bolt.
Knock it right on that.
And also, Michael, we spoke about some of my neighbors in another community wanting to have speed bumps placed in their neighborhood due to cars speeding through and their desire to keep their kids safe. So I would like to have at a workshop information about how we get requirements for, or what the requirements are for speed bumps, and see how we can maybe work so they can get there.
Okay, I will.
And I want to take a moment to recognize and honor National Skilled Nursing Care Week and the incredible individuals who make our nursing homes and skilled care facilities places of compassion, dignity, and healing. To every caregiver, no matter your title, who shows up each day with patience and heart, thank you. While the work tends to happen quietly and behind the scene, it knows the impact you make, or should I say, we make, cannot be measured. I also recognize the residents and their families who trust our facilities with their loved ones. Staff, family, residents, it does not go unnoticed, and you are appreciated for the sacrifices that each of you make. Thank you.
Councilmember Hardy.
I just want to reiterate some of my comments from the workshop about code enforcement and the rework that's happening there. First of all, I think it's moving in a fantastic direction. Thank you, Michael, for getting that ball rolling. And a statistic that we saw was 7% of the caseload is minimal housing standard cases. There is plenty of cases to open around this city, enough to where I think we could get it to 100% of the caseload if we really wanted to. But obviously, we have to prioritize other things as well, and not just one kind of code issue. But I really do want to see how high we can get that number. Obviously, the other things is kind of low-hanging fruit with the grass and parking and things like that. But I really do want to see our code enforcement division really get to working and see how many houses and minimal housing standards we can fix and improve the quality of life for our citizens.
Absolutely. Councilman Willis.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Foreman. Congratulations to all of our graduates this spring, including Councilmember Hardy on your graduation. Such a momentous occasion. Also, special congrats to Deputy Chief Thomas as well as Mr. Don Octigan. Everything rises and falls on leadership, and so the fact that you are continuing to put the tools in the tool belt, that is wonderful to see. And so excited to see what comes next from those endeavors. Also, the city is having its City Planning Academy. I think the applications are closed for that, but just a wonderful opportunity that the city is giving individuals to learn more about planning and how we grow and growing with intention. And then around that framework of being able to get together over a meal, and I think they're going to be at the Dream Park Recreation Center. It's just a wonderful opportunity for them to be able to learn about planning in the city. And I wanted to save my comments in regards to the presentation on ICE for council comments. I prepared something, and I appreciate Michael, you bringing it to the council for consideration, being able to educate the community. We recognize the jurisdictional weight of federal and state law, yet we also recognize our authority to define the spirit of our city. Our values are not negotiable. Dignity, respect, and fairness belong to everyone within our borders. We reject any atmosphere that seeks to dehumanize or target families based on their status. While we operate within the specific boundaries of the North Carolina law, those legal limits do not limit our values, nor should they. Every resident of Greenville deserves to live with dignity and fairness. Families should never be subjected to the shadow of fear or dehumanization. We are capable of upholding our legal responsibilities while simultaneously championing compassion and civility. These are not opposing forces. They are dual pillars of a healthy society. It's my hope that Greenville can be a city where public trust is protected and where we never lose sight of the humanity behind the policies. That's all I have. Thank you.
Councilmember Scully.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Willis. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, for the opportunity. Happy graduation, everybody. Congratulations, Seth. And we had some really great team members at the Scullery graduated as well. Lolly Lynch, Megan Markley, and Nicole Jordan all graduated this spring. Congratulations to them and all the other folks throughout our community. And thank you, Seth, for that blessing before our meeting for all of them. It was really nice. Pray for them as well for success and happiness in whatever challenge they face next. And happy Mother's Day to all of our moms, especially my wife, Erin. Happy Heavenly Mother's Day to my mom. And thank you very much for shout out to caregivers. You know, they are so important. They took care of my mama in her final days, and just so thankful for you and people like you who choose to make a career serving others, especially those that need it most, those that are in their final days who need help with their daily lives. So thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Councilmember Watts.
Thank you. I want to just reemphasize to Councilmember Jones, caregivers are amazing people. They're dealing with you, and oftentimes in the great physical disabilities, sometimes mental health disabilities, and oftentimes the last couple of years of your life. We had one in my mom and dad's life and my in-laws' life for a total of 7 years over the course of 4 different parents. And they become a member of the family. They're super, super great to what they do for the people. So congratulations on that, and it's certainly a big honor to have as we honor those people, because they do something that oftentimes they're not somebody close by. We were still close by, but still had our caregiver that we considered basically a member of our family. She'd been with us for 7 years, so congratulations on that. Seth, congratulations, going through college, and it seems like it goes slow sometimes, but I promise you it's going quick, and as time passes, the time will pass quick, the day will be slow. Congratulations to my daughter also, as you know, graduated this weekend at NC State, and she's working at Peter Millar, so we might be able to get some clothing discounts. And also those who graduated, I think UNC had their graduation, as well as ECU and also NC State, and any others that graduated. Congratulations. It's a wonderful time to go through college and experience that. And Seth, you kind of jumped up and got in the city council thing, and you're the first one that's been on the city council that graduated from college. So congratulations to you on that. I think we are absolutely, as a council, moving in the, I'm sorry.
Graduated while on council.
I'm excited about the code enforcement. It's something that's long overdue. Absolutely. In all sections of our city, and it should have been done a long time ago. That's going to do a lot of great things. I'm also excited about the progress we're making on short-term rentals. I hope we can keep that at a rapid pace, because that's a growing problem that we're having, and we need to address it and be proactive instead of reactive. Also, congratulate us on the budget. We did lots of improvements. We made lots of allocations for affordable housing and other things, sidewalks and roads and those kinds of things, and improvements. Yet we added, 12 positions in the fire EMS. Yet we cap our tax rate the same. So those watching, we kept the tax rate the same, yet did all those wonderful things. And that says a lot for how we set our budget. It's a big deal. Congratulations for National Tennis Month. My friend Don Octigan, congratulations to you, and Chief Deputy KZ, congratulations. It's people like the two of you who continue to improve your skill set to serve our city even better. That just shows your dedication to your job and to our city, and for those things, I thank you on behalf of myself and the rest of council. Let's see what else I wanted to say. All our interns. Congratulations to all y'all. There's Ben, Lauren, Hansford, and also Mia and Malia. Welcome aboard. You've already got to see some good sides of us, and some people starting to say things that show different sides of things. You're going to see more of that, and that's what government's about. So, if we all up here and agree on everything, you got to start wondering what's going on if we do. But I'll tell you, this is a great council. I think for the most part we work really well together, and we tend to view our viewpoints really out there, but we also listen well to one another. And on one thing we may see 100%, the other might be 75 or 50, but I think the thing you will see is that we all will look at each other and talk to each other, even though our opinions may not be the same. But that's what city council is for us to give our viewpoints and then try to make the best decision. And I think this council, we're missing a mayor, but I really believe this council does its best to try to do what they think is the best decision for our citizens and serves our citizens. So I'm proud to be a part of this council for that reason, because that's what we should all be doing. It should not be for self-serving purposes or political purposes, but for what we think is truly the best decision for our citizens. So hope you get to see that, and congratulations on your master stuff. That's awesome too. I think that's my checklist. Yes, it is. It is our checklist. Thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem.
Absolutely. Councilmember Hardy wanted to add something.
And I completely forgot to thank Councilmember Willis for showing up to the Chancellor's Breakfast and congratulating me on my graduation, and then Mayor Pro Tem Foreman. She actually wanted to come to my departmental graduation, so I got her and grandson, correct?
Yeah.
Her and her grandson tickets, and she came and watched me walk across the stage and grab my fake diploma. So I want to say thank y'all for doing that, and it really meant a lot to me, so thank y'all.
Did Mayor Pro Tem jump up and cheer for you, like going back?
As I walked by, she was.
I did my
There you
best.
go.
That's my baby.
And I will close out with reiterating that and saying congratulations to Seth. It was a pleasure to watch you walk across that stage in your hard hat. Also, to concur with what has been said by the rest of council. And I think that, what has been elevated here is the fact that we are doing our best to serve our people at our best. I talk all the time about order of operations, and in mathematics, there's an order of operations. If you want to get a problem right, you do that problem in a specific order. And in life, if we want to get things right, we do things in a certain order, and that is by putting people first. And a lot of the things we talked about tonight in our workshop, as well as our council meeting, has been examples of us making people our priority, both on staff and the community. I'll say again, the things that were very, very close to my heart, like with Councilmember Hardy, the code enforcement and addressing substandard housing. We've got a lot of people in our community that are struggling, some suffering, and the dehumanization, degrading and isolating of citizens in inhumane conditions is just unacceptable. So I am super excited about the fact that we are restructuring our code enforcement efforts to be able to address that. And we'll elevate also the bus shelters, yes. And so I do agree with that we need to continue to put attention towards that. I know Michael might be tired of me sending him pictures, but we do need to make sure that all of our citizens are being taken care of at our best as they're trying to navigate our city. And then I will close out with the short-term rentals and the Airbnb. That was important to me also. So with that being said, we're going to close out this meeting. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, motion made by Councilmember Robinson, seconded by Councilmember Hardy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Motion passes 6-0.
All right, let's go home.